cost for the courthouse construction and to adopt an ordinance for new building assessments to come on as building permits are finished. Call the meeting to order. Anybody do the invocation?
I will.
Go ahead, Mr. Tote.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Lord, and ask you for your guidance, giving you thanksgiving, Lord Jesus, for each and every one of our people on the EMS, the volunteer fire departments, Lord, and the law enforcement in our county, and this board, Lord. We're doing it all for the citizens of the county that I truly love, and I know each and every one of us sitting on this board loves Jesus. Lord, we thank you for the rains that we've had, but now we need some more rain, Lord. We ask you to send us rain, give us knowledge, and guide our hands and minds. In Jesus' mighty, precious, holy name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Prior to the Pledge of Allegiance, I need a motion on the floor to accept John Rourke as remote this evening.
I so move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, join us in the pledge, John. Everybody join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all.
All right, we've got an agenda, and I'm going to make one change. You can make a motion, well, somebody make a motion for me. We're going to change the order of the public hearings. We're going to go, letter C is going to be first. That's the courthouse construction fee. Letter D is going to be the second one. And so we'll dispense with that business first. Those should be short. And then we'll have the rest of the evening for fire and EMS. So I'd like a motion to...
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda with the stated changes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Chairman, there is no closed meeting, sorry.
Okay,
on the agenda.
no closed meeting. All right, I'd like a motion to open a public hearing on letter C, courthouse construction.
Also move.
Do you want to go?
I'll second that. Second.
I'm looking at something else.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have nobody signed up on the public sign-up sheet. Anybody want to speak on that?
Mr. Chairman, you want me to introduce, we're going to
Go
start
ahead,
with...
go ahead and introduce it.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, board members and citizens, this is an ordinance to amend Article 11, Section 11352 of the Code of Virginia of Nottoway. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 17.1281C of the Code of Virginia, there is hereby imposed an assessment of $3 as part of the cost in each civil action filed in the district or circuit courts for the county, in each criminal or traffic case in its district or circuit court in which the defendant is charged with a violation of any statute or ordinance. Such additional fee assessed under this subsection shall be imposed in a civil action if the amount in controversy is $500 or less. This assessment, referred to as the courthouse construction fee, shall be collected by the clerk of the court in which the action is filed and remitted to the county treasurer, to be held by the treasurer, subject to disbursements by the Board of Supervisors solely for the construction, reconstruction, renovation of, or adaptive use of a structure of the county courthouse. Both Miss Hudson and Miss Rayford are here too, and this needs to be done for this funds to be going towards our construction of the courthouse, and it could generate somewhere in the neighborhood maybe of I don't know, $9,000 to $15,000, but it's money.
Monthly or?
No, annually.
Okay, so that was a good explanation of what this public hearing is. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Not on the list. Nobody's on the list. I'll make a motion to close or I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I so move.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Does the board have any discussion? Anything they need to say about it? We'll move on.
I don't have anything.
I just got one question, Mr. Chairman. Is that the max amount we can go?
Yeah, it's under the code.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I knew you were looking for more like $15 million.
Instead of 15,000.
Yeah.
Stay out of trouble and you ain't got to pay it.
That's right, it's your choice. All right, our next one is going to be adding an ordinance. Do you want me to talk about this one a little
That'd
bit?
be fine.
it was-
You're the one who found this one.
All right, so just so the citizens know why we're doing this, in previous years, an appraisal group would come once a year, gather all the new construction from Christie's office, and put them on to help her with values, and correct me if I'm wrong, and help her with values, get them on the tax rolls, so that then they could be taxed in December, November and December. So last year, that firm that did it for how many counties? It was Amelia, us. So that firm closed, and their assets were purchased by another firm, and we didn't realize it. So then I was looking at some constructions that weren't on the books, and called Christy, and she said, yeah, we saw that something's not right. So it was about a week's worth of messages and emails and calls, and we got the ordinance right. So now when a new construction is going to be finished, working with Nick Bowles and Christy, they'll put a value on it, and it can go on the tax rolls prorated as soon as it's finished. So there won't be for instance, if a house gets finished in January, the way it wasn't getting taxed until August.
The following year.
Well, the following year. So we'll be able to tax citizens that are using services as soon as they start using the services. So that's what this is about. So I'd like a motion to call that hearing, public hearing, new building assessment ordinance.
So moved.
All in favor?
I second.
Aye. All right, again, we've given you an explanation. There's nobody wishing to speak. Does anybody wish to speak? All right, I'm going to close that public hearing and make a motion, ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I so move.
So moved.
All right, we got a second. So all in favor?
I'll second Mr. Roy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, any discussion from board members about that? All right, now we're going to move on to, who wants to go first, fire or EMS? We'll do fire. So this is going to be letter A on your public hearing, and Mr. Bowen, I think, was going to introduce this
Well,
information.
it's just going to be a short, sweet introduction. And this ordinance is to establish a countywide fire zone and district. This has gone past our attorney, Gary Elder, who's present tonight, and for the fire and the EMS, which that's got to be a separate public hearing. But the purpose of this is to establish this first, and then we are working in partnership with the fire and EMS and been having some hard conversations and agreements, but this needs to be done before we can truly establish this partnership and working together. So, and for possible future tax levies. That's it.
That's it. So this is
But-
just.
but no numbers tonight.
No
No
numbers tonight. This is just establishing the district by Virginia code, making the ordinance. So I'd ask for a motion to open the fire district levy meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Tomer, Chief Tomer.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
As you're well aware, I'm a very strong advocate of the tax levy, knowing the status of EMS and fire within Nottoway County. Been a volunteer since '91. I joined when I was 14 years old. 2018, I proposed this levy as fire chief, realizing the issues that were going to come forth. We just can't continue to survive. Our budget, I was trying to remember what the county budget is annually. I want to say you're over 15 million easy, but less than that, 3% goes to emergency services of that budget. The rest is normal pass-through. So it's not enough to make us live. Currently, our apparatus, a simple fire truck, is almost $750,000. Outfitting a firefighter is over $5,000. We have standards that we have to comply with every year to reduce our liability. We can't keep functioning. Volunteers are trending downward. It's not Nottoway County. This is nationwide. The numbers are decreasing. At some point, EMS is the first door to open up. Fire is going to be falling behind in time. The majority of our membership is over 20 years of service. We just don't have the young folks coming in. We've tried fire programs classes in schools, EMT classes in schools. The joy of being a volunteer isn't there anymore. Our workforce doesn't permit volunteers to go away for hours at a time without losing their job or having some kind of discipline. It doesn't work anymore. I am 100% for the levy. I want to say Nottoway County does have some of the lowest tax rates of all of our surrounding counties, but we also have the highest poverty rate of all our surrounding counties. So I understand the impact. If everybody signed up and volunteered, we could probably solve this issue, but it's not going to happen. We need support. Our volunteers need to be training. They don't need to be out there with a boot every quarter saying we need money to survive. I'd rather have volunteers training and preparing for that next big emergency than to be out there cooking a stew to make sure they raise $600 to afford something. I also ask that you consider when you do this tax to not put the radio system 100% in there. I think that's unfair to emergency services when that also includes other entities that are involved, including law enforcement, animal control, school system. It shouldn't, that burden, that financial burden that was already decided upon before the discussions of a levy should fall upon the fire and EMS. And I'd also request that you consider a discount for your volunteers. Just like we do with personal property tax, they have a reduced rate. If people want to join us, they want to have a reduced tax rate, here's an application. Come join us, get the discount, be an active member, and it's not a big deal. Support the community, support your volunteers, and help us grow and be able to manage this moving forward. So, and that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Mr.
much.
Tom.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just a comment. I think we did a little fact checking. Mr. Tomer was the first person who brought this up about the tax levy in the past, and others came, and John, Mr. Rourke supported that. And the previous board, we're dealing things like COVID. Everybody blames stuff on COVID, but it is what it is. But anyway, but yes, he said it a long time ago. You're not going to be able to keep pulling money out of the general fund. You need a tax levy, and Mr. Rourke said the same thing. So anyway.
Mr. Rowe, Damian Rowe. Welcome, Mr. Rowe.
Good evening, board.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
As y'all know, I wear many hats. And as a pastor and my other hat as a pharmacy technician, I just want you to know how much people out here are hurting. While I understand the vital importance of our EMS and our fire departments, vital importance, I just want you to be aware of how much individuals are struggling every day. Last week, an elderly lady couldn't afford a $4 medicine. Every day, I deal with people who have to make the hard choice, food or medicine. And at the church, we deal with people who need to use food banks to supplement the food that they're able to buy. And I understand the need for these services. I just don't know how much more the citizens can stand further tax increases. And I don't envy y'all's job, but I know I just want you to be aware of these are the things, and I'm sure many of you see these same things every day too. And I just know that in my 24 years in the pharmacy and in my over 20 years as a pastor, these issues are becoming more and more frequent. And even in my own family, people are hurting. They don't know how they're gonna not just make it to the next month, but hardly to the next day sometimes. These decisions that have to be made, I just need you and want you to have a full picture of everything. And I know that we have to make hard decisions, but I just want to be a voice for people that are struggling and need to know that there is help, not another burden on them. So thank you very much for your time.
One moment, Mr. Rowe. I do want you to know, and nothing, we haven't decided anything.
Yes,
But
indeed.
both Daphne and I, and then I've talked with John, and maybe with Dickie, that we're researching tax relief under certain circumstances.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So it's, you know, it's age, it's income, and we've talked to some of the local, other counties. The night that I had to change my mind for solar, one of the things I'd like to see is some of those siting agreements go into an account that people can apply to help them with their tax burden. So there's been discussions
Yes, indeed.
about that. So
And I
just so-
appreciate that.
Just
I
so you know,
appreciate that.
nothing in stone yet. It's
Yes,
just
indeed. I
discussion.
definitely appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
again.
Rowe. No one else on the list on the side for fire. Anybody else want to speak? I'll take a motion to close the hearing on the fire district levy.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Bowen, you want to introduce
I'd like
emergency
to close the
services
public
district?
hearing, because right, we're not voting tonight. I keep forgetting. Introducing, this is the last one, is the ordinance to establish a countywide emergency service district. This item came up before the fire, but as you heard Mr. Tomer say, fire is right behind it. I heard Mr. Joey Chaneff say the same thing in a meeting, and Zach Bears has said fire is right behind it. When we met with the emergency service, emergency squad, and Burkeville, they're in a situation they need to meet payroll, and you just heard the last speaker, and people are suffering and have to pay taxes. However, there's a great concern that when we dial 911, nobody's going to show up. If you can't meet payroll, we got problems. We got problems because we're required by the Code of Virginia. So this ordinance is to establish a countywide emergency service district for future possible tax levy, but you have to have it in place.
I do want to say one thing that's kind of been a change in the last week. We were saying fire and EMS levy, so one levy, one ordinance. Our lawyer advises that it's two separate. So you have a fire ordinance, you have an EMS ordinance, and when the levies are set, if they're set, you'd have some going to fire, some going to EMS. And that will change every year as the budget changes. It'll be part of our annual approval for the budget, just so everybody understands that part. Mr. Tomer, you want to speak again?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
I support it.
Okay. Christy Romano. Thank you for coming up, Ms. Romano.
Thank you. I want to have a disclaimer. I have a fear of public speaking, so excuse me. I will try my best. So my name is Christy Romano. I'm a proud citizen of Crew and a certified EMT Advance. I am speaking today out of deep concern following the live stream Board of Supervisors meeting with Nottoway County Emergency Services held on April 14th, which I watched closely. As a healthcare provider, mother, and resident, I feel it is important for the public to understand that NCES is an independent entity. They are not obligated to respond to 911 calls within the county, and at any moment, they can choose to stop answering those calls. Presently, NCES operates only one 911 designated ambulance for the entire county. The level of care provided by that unit varies. Sometimes it's staffed by basic level, sometimes advanced, and occasionally the paramedic level. This variability poses a serious concern when I call 911 for a loved one in cardiac arrest, or a child involved in a major incident or critical emergency. I want the reassurance that the responding team is equipped and certified to provide the highest level of pre-hospital care. Right now, the assurance simply doesn't exist. What's more concerning is that the funding being requested by NCES is not to improve the 911 coverage in the county, it is support the current operation of one 911 ambulance. 2 paramedic level ambulances dedicated serving the FASC. According to the information shared on the April 14th meeting, their contract with FASC includes a clause requiring NCES to deploy the 3rd paramedic unit level ambulance within 30 days if requested. This raises important questions. if NCES is required to support a third FASC unit, what happens to the only 911 ambulance available to Nottoway County? Will Nottoway County settle for a lower level of care during life-threatening emergencies? I understand the financial burden this discussion entails. This is a significant investment, and I urge you to ask yourself, what is the value of a human life? Can we afford to rely on inconsistent care, unpredictable staffing, and unstable funding model? Our community deserves reliable, advanced emergency medical services. We deserve to know that when we dial 911, help will arrive timely, equipped, and fully prepared to save lives. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Romano. I do want, each fire department is also a 501c3 nonprofit. So the Code of Virginia allows the board of supervisors, to give money to a squad or to a fire, but they're all the same. They're 501c3 nonprofits.
And I'm in full support of the levy for both fire and EMS.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Abby Messer.
Good evening, Board.
And
Thank
Abby.
you for coming. Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Abby Messer. I'm a lifelong resident of Nottoway County. First, I want to start off with saying thank you to anybody and everybody that has volunteered on the fire departments and for the EMS. I am a volunteer myself for youth programs in Nottoway, and they are right. Volunteers are shrinking in number, and they are very important. They're detrimental to everything in this rural county. However, I have an issue with my taxes going way, way up when they just did. And specifically because I'm a property owner. I just find that it's extremely unfair for people that own property to be the only ones to have to carry the burden of the EMS and the fire departments when everybody in the county utilizes it, even people that pass through the county. If they get into a car accident, EMS and fire are there. They go somewhere and get hurt at the ball games or something, EMS and fire are there. I just want you to think about some more creative ways to try to solve this problem that maybe can share the burden across everybody in the county, not just the people that own property. Because if my taxes go up much more, I'm gonna lose the land and the home that I grew up in. And if I do that, since I inherited it, I definitely can't sell it to make any money because my mother bought it in 1984 for $75,000. Can you imagine the capital gains taxes that I would have to pay? And that would leave me with barely any money to buy a home in this $300,000 some real estate economy that we have for 2-bedroom homes. It's insane. So, and like Mr. Rowe said, the people in this county are suffering. We are suffering. We're pinching pennies. We're deciding where we can rob Peter to pay Paul. I tell you, every month, at the end of the month, before my next paycheck, I'm like looking in my credit card statement saying, which one can I get up to the limit this time? So I can pay a little bit more when I get my check on the 1st. So I can do it all over again at the end of the month. So thank you so much for your time. And again, thank you to everybody that has volunteered on the fire department and for EMS. I have used your services in 2010. You saved my house from burning down. I called you in 2020 when my mother was sick with cancer, and she would fall and she had sepsis, and I called you not too long, a couple years ago when I thought I was having another stroke. So you're much appreciated and you're much valued. It's just our pockets can't take much more.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Abbott, Sonny Abbott.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and my constituent, Mr. Rourke. I stand here tonight as a resident and in no other capacity. I have a bit of a concern time-wise. You're not going to vote tonight. You'll have to vote at the next regular board meeting because you're only allowed one of those a month. So that'll be the 15th.
One second. We can vote when we're together, correct, Mr. Elder?
You can take a vote at a specially called meeting.
Well, we have a work session next week.
You can do that too.
Continue, Mr. Abbott.
Okay. So, well, let's just do the math. Between now and the time the 25-26 budget is supposed to be approved and authenticated, we'd have to be foolish to think that with all of these actions here tonight that you're not going to establish some kind of dollars and cents or an amount for each one of these levies to be put into the budget that will take effect July 1 of 2025. A friend of mine, Mr. Rowe, spoke to you just a little bit ago. I'll add a number to what he talked about. 71% of the students that attend our schools in Nottoway County are considered economically disadvantaged. Now, I have said this before, I'll say it again, you can't tax me out of the county. I might be the oldest one in the room, but you can't tax me out. I might leave one day, but my concern is that where's all of the information, the transparency of what is supposed to happen? Who's gonna do what and when? Are we just throwing money at it? We're just gonna give more money to an organization because of circumstances. Now, there are folks in here that I respect because they do things I couldn't. And they know that I respect what they do. But where's the information? Where's the data? What kind of system are we going to have? Are we just going to transfer tax money that you will collect sometime in November and figure out what you're going to do between now and then to support what needs to be done? But where's the information? Volunteers are going away, so we're going to have to hire folks. Well, what's that process? What are the salaries and benefit packages that we're going to have to support? I agree. If you dial 911, you want somebody to show up. And as old as I am, I probably have that opportunity before somebody else. And I'll just give you a clue. I was getting out of the military when Mr. Ingram graduated from high school. So give us some information other than just tell us about a tax levy. Share with us the plans, the structure, the organization. What's it going to look like? In the Courier Record not too long ago, Chief Tomer structured out something for the rescue system, put a rescue at each of the fire departments. Are we only going to fund crew, the crew EMS, and leave Burkeville out? In the current budget, there's a certain amount of money in there for fire and rescue, correct?
Correct.
If we have a special assessment, does that go to zero?
The budget hadn't been approved, Mr. Abbott.
Once everything is approved, and again, I'm not foolish enough to think that 3 of you are going to vote no. But if there's, and I'll just pick a number, if there's $400,000 in the current budget, and that goes away because now you have a levy, won't the 45 cents drop to 42 cents or 41 cents? And then you're going to put whatever number of cents it is in the levy. Split it up between the two. I don't know if anyone's considering that, or are you just going to keep that money in the regular budget and spend it on something else. Because we seem to be able to vote things in without figuring out how to pay for them. We did that with the radio system. Everybody said we absolutely had to have it, but we didn't know how to pay for it. And we're trying to figure out how to do that now. And I agree that if you're gonna have a levy for fire and EMS, are you gonna have a levy for a radio system and add it too? Or is that just gonna be a part of the regular budget? Some of that information need to be shared with us between now and when you're gonna appropriate or approve a budget, which is, what, 45 days, 50 days away from now. That's, all I'm asking for is a little transparency.
Well, this process has continued on. There's been several meetings. There's been the public work session with the squad. We had a meeting with the fire chiefs yesterday. We've tried different numbers. We've looked at different ways to split it up. So all of these things are being discussed. And we're going to have a work session, a public work session next week. We're trying to come up with some different options, which will be talked about in public. And that's, we had something that happened during budget requests that we've had to educate ourselves on and learn, and then try to solve it. And that's what we've been doing, Mr. Abbott. I want you to, I truly want you to know
That's
that.
what you're trying to do, but not everybody can attend the meetings, those other meetings that you have, because some of us have other duties and responsibilities.
Mr. Abbott,
Ma'am.
can I interject? I just received today the Virginia Fire Services Board study for Nottoway County Fire and EMS that was done in 2021. I wish I'd have received it a little sooner, but it details everything that you're questioning. Well, it's a work in progress, sir. As we're getting things together, we're trying to map out a plan, and we will be transparent, but we can't tell you something that we don't know ourselves yet. This came on us less than a month ago, and we're trying to combat all the data and accumulate. Buddy Hyde's been great trying to get us data from all avenues, but we can't.
I've worked him to death.
We can't give you data that we haven't accumulated into some kind of sense.
Or that the board has agreed on. We all have data. We have to make a decision.
I'll be glad to send you this study so you can read it.
I don't need a study from 1921. What I would like,
Well, it details everything that
You
we
said
need to do.
2021.
2021.
Mr. Abbott, why do you think the 400,000 would drop off and go away? You said the 400,000 would go away.
Simply because currently in today's budget, there is a certain amount of money that was
Allocated for the
divided
EMS
or
and to the fire,
allocated
correct.
between Burkeville, Blackstone, and Crew.
Uh-huh.
Well, if now you're going to tax in a
That
separate.
would, to my first knowledge of that, would be an addition. That 400,000 wouldn't go away, and his tax wouldn't apply to the 400,000 already be given to him.
Oh, so you're.
That's my first initial. Now, we gotta look at the numbers a little closer, but
See, so some of us are now learning a little something else. So not only are we going to have a tax levy, we're going to leave money in the current budget for the same thing that we're gonna have a levy for.
Okay.
me prematurely thinking, I would say that would be the case. Yes, sir, I think you'll find that out.
This is why we're not going to discuss numbers tonight, because nothing's been decided. We've heard you, Mr. Abbott. We're working very hard. There'll be one side and the other side. Be general fund, and then be fire, and there'll be EMS. Those will be separate. I appreciate you speaking tonight.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Outlaw.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Good evening.
board members, Mr. Bowen.
Sir, Mr. Allen.
What I had planned to say tonight does not fit into one of the boxes you have on the agenda. That being said, and not to take up your time or the others,
What's the topic, sir?
long-term funding for our needs going into the future. What I've got to say is not going to provide any near-term relief.
Okay. Well, we're talking about raising funding, so that is, an agenda, if you want to talk tonight, or if you want to wait till the actual budget night.
Okay, sure.
That's either one.
And I'll send you all something in writing in an email and let you have some time to give that some thought.
Okay.
Anyway,
You sure you don't, I mean, it's funding, that's what we're talking, we're raising funds.
but this won't affect the near term, so.
Okay.
And I would like to say, 4 of you 5 inherited a mess of gigantic proportions. And you know that better than I do. And I thank you for all that you're doing to try to work through all of this stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's our final speaker. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak that hasn't spoken? Mr. Chief Shute, would you like to speak? Come on up.
We're gonna have to dial 911 and pick you off the floor in a minute.
All right, so I've added Chief Shute to the list, so he's on the list.
All right, thank you. I didn't get here epidemic time, no
Okay,
sign.
well, we'll make accommodation. Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna speak, but, you know, I think there's a couple of things need to be explained. Of course, I've been coming here for 30-some years before this board. And it's always for the same reason, trying to do something for the volunteers and to build funding. I don't like taxes any more than the next person. You know, I feel like it's a rural county and you know, pay my share. But the bottom line, I just heard the pager go off again. And Burkeville's answering its 32nd call in 3 days. Wow. And as Chief Thomas said, it's all changing. The volunteer's not going to be able to carry the load, and it is about the payroll. And, you know, as far as gathering data, I know there's been a lot of data gathered. I applaud the board, the current leaders, and the past leaders for sitting down and trying to map this thing out, because it's obvious we got to do something. So I appreciate the levy, not the levy, but the district, because, you know, there's 4 different agencies here, but you had to have 1 district, or you had to have 4 districts and 4 levies. So get the district done so that everybody understands it, is so that you begin to develop a way to fund. We all know it's got to be funded. And you know, I've had discussions with supervisors, and I've sat in some meetings, and you know, I thank the current leaderships of the fire department and rescue squads for allowing past leaders to sit in on some of that, because we felt like we helped build it to where it is today. It's just it needs a little more help. So thank y'all for that. For the citizens, all I can tell you, 32 calls in 3 days. It tells itself. And the volunteers aren't going to go anywhere. There's a tremendous savings using volunteers. And there's always going to be some. But for everybody in this room that doesn't volunteer for emergency services, just imagine day in, day out, answering calls, losing sleep. You get my age, sleep's valuable. You know, usually if I go to sleep now at night, I'm down for the count till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm back up because I can't sleep. So, welcome to senior citizen world.
Already today, almost.
But anyway, thank y'all for what you're doing. I know it's been tough at times, and sometimes, you know, patience gets a little thin, but, you know, I had a good conversation with some folks recently, and everything stayed civil. And I think it was a genuine desire to try to fix this problem. The volunteers want to fix it, and I believe that the board wants to fix it. And if you do put a tax levy in, that means instead of coming down here and begging for money that's not here and ended up with just barely enough to scrape by, maybe we'll end up with something that serves the citizens, the programs, and we'll have You know, our department's been around for 117 years. You know, I hope they'll be around for another 117. So anyway, thank y'all, and thanks to the citizens. I know they're concerned. I have them too. I got a fixed income just like everybody else. You raise my taxes, you know, it comes off at fixed incomes. But it is what it is. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
Ms. Shute.
Somebody's raising their hand, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Taylor,
No,
sure,
I'll put your name down. Come on up, sir.
come on.
You were here after the chief was back up here anyway, so that's fine. No, you're fine.
We hear about, y'all hear about raising taxes or not raising taxes, right?
We're not talking about numbers tonight.
Okay, I'm
What we're-
just,
what we're-
just spitballing.
What we're establishing is a fire district and an EMS district,
But anyway, you need funds for that.
which then allows us
You need funds for that,
to
right?
charge money.
But you need
for
funds for
that.
that, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm on the fixed income, and I don't think it's getting fixable anytime, no time soon. But like I said before, the only way you gonna have to do it, you gonna have to raise taxes, cut services. You don't wanna do that. Or unless you get two people, Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus, come down here and do a concert for us. 'Cause I don't see no Fortune 500 company coming here. Like I said before, they coming to Amelia, they coming to Chesterfield, they in Mecklenburg, they been with it. They leapfrogging over us. So, I don't know how you gonna solve it, but we ain't getting no young people here. You know, and none of us getting no younger. If you put it on our back, we gonna say our, but we gonna deal with it. So,
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Taylor.
Appreciate it, Mr. Taylor. Thank you for coming.
Pete, would you like to give your opinion on it? I value your opinion. Could you add him to it, Mr. Chairman? Pete Morrison?
I don't know what much I can add to what everybody else has already said.
Tell us just a little bit about your EMS background, if you would.
Well, it goes back to 1981. That's when I started volunteering, but it was in Southwest Virginia. And then my first career job was in Prince William County, and then I came to Chesterfield, and fortunately the last 15 years of my career I was on med flight. And I got to meet a lot of my neighbors out here. And I know how much people out here struggle. You guys didn't call when it was somebody needed a Band-Aid. You guys called us when somebody was severely hurt or severely sick, so I do appreciate that. Fire and EMS, and I'm lumping them together. I know it's two separate issues, two separate tax levies or whatever, but fire and EMS is not a business. It's a service. If you're going into fire and EMS to make money, you might as well throw your money down the toilet, because it is an absolute money loser. So I do support this, support the fire and EMS system. I give as much as I can, not as much of my time anymore, but I do contribute monetarily to it. This is gonna sound crude, but to paraphrase an old line from Full Metal Jacket, this is a big crap sandwich and we're all going to take a bite. So I don't know exactly what the answer is. I'm willing to offer any help or any opinion that I can to the county, because fire and EMS, this job goes back a long way in me, and I consider it a passion more than, I didn't just do it for a paycheck. It's meant a lot to me over the years, and I've hated to see people suffer, and like Dion and everybody else has said, it has changed significantly over the years. I used to be excused from class in high school to go answer a call. My employers would say, go ahead and go on that call. That doesn't happen today. People are not willing to let you walk off the job to go do the call. As far as the money goes, as far as the tax levy goes, I know the short term is to support fire and EMS. Is that the current system, or is one of the ultimate goals is to get paid providers in all the stations?
Our understanding is,
You don't
We
have
don't-
to answer, Bill. I guess it's a rhetorical question.
but that's the direction that we're going with as volunteers have declined. The biggest change right now is during the day, you need a paid squad. Because at night, people have come home from work.
Yep.
and they want to go hang out at the station and run some calls.
The two
So-
departments I was with were combination career volunteer departments. And I've, seen what happens in that relationship.
So Dinwiddie County, our neighbor, primarily all paid, EMS and fire. And they didn't do the levy, they just have it in their regular rate. So that's, we have to take steps, and this is the first step.
The EMS is 90% paid?
95,
95% paid currently, right now. The EMS is.
I believe that's a misconception by the public, that they think the majority of our services are volunteer, and that is no longer the case.
I hear a lot of the same thing, that they thought up until recently that it was volunteer.
And if this county, I'm pretty sure it does, follows the stats of neighboring counties, you're looking at about an 80% EMS call volume versus 20% fire.
that's about the same.
Is that about right?
Interestingly, we've had some citizens that moved here that came from higher taxed areas of the country. They thought EMS was paid. So,
I knew better than that.
educate, well, we have to just educate our citizens so they understand. And as far as making calls for Band-Aids, have somebody, take you to the hospital or doctor's office. That's the best thing.
We've done our job.
No, I'm talking about the citizen. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate that.
All right, any other? You want to come up? You want to, can we do a double? I guess we can do a double.
He was on there for a double, I think, then he decided
Yeah,
not
that's
to.
right. You didn't speak the second
I
time.
wasn't gonna speak.
So yes, you can speak.
But I do want to offer my support for the levy. I'd strongly encourage, just like Mr. Romano and Mr. Abbott said, there needs to be a structure, a understanding of what the taxpayer is paying for. Our EMS system has been running, we've had one ambulance for sometimes, it doesn't work. The call volume, they run over 2,000 calls a year. It would work if you get us a standalone ER here maybe in Nottoway County where we could do the turnaround. But when you're having to drive an hour to a hospital, it just doesn't work for our citizens. Including the volunteers at nighttime, we're here, but 4 o'clock in the morning, we gotta wake up at 7 o'clock to go to work. We gotta figure paycheck versus volunteer. So even in the middle of the night, sometimes we have to make that critical decision. Can I go to work with only 3 hours of sleep to go to this call? Because I gotta put a paycheck on my family's table as well. So the time is gonna come where put in that ambulance, put in some firefighters together, running the models of other agencies, running the leadership or the command structure of other areas around us is gonna be necessary to make fire and EMS work. Also remember that your fire departments are also EMS. The Blackstone and crew also have first responder programs that support Nottoway County Rescue Squad. We developed that in 1994 in Blackstone as a first responder program because at that point, Nottoway County was failing, Nottoway County Emergency Squad. We had members going in their personal vehicles with jump bags to be able to offer assistance to people. Nottoway County Emergency Squad stepped up to the plate. I was one of the first, one of the few first hired for Nottoway County Emergency Squad as a paramedic back in the day. It was a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and then I went to nursing school and kind of went a different path. You got to have your heart in volunteering. You got to have your heart in fire and EMS. If I didn't have a heart, I'd be sitting at home watching this on YouTube probably. But it's important. It's important for our citizens. I understand the struggle. This didn't happen overnight. This has been going on for years, and it just hit that tipping point of where we are now. We probably could have not done it so drastically a long time ago, but the time has come to where we flip that coin. So once again, thank you. This is truly an honor that it is being considered. It's been something that's been needed for a long time. So it's great that this board, I'm sorry it was put on your plate, but thank you for taking the consideration of moving forward with something of this magnitude. So.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're done with speakers.
Closed.
We need to close, I need a motion to close the public hearing on EMS levy or district.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Mr. Chairman, if you give me a few minutes to speak freely, to kind of give you a timeline since the public is concerned about a lot of these, what's happening and what's the plan. We have a work session next Thursday at May 8th. I'm going to ask you to vote on these 4 items that you heard tonight from the public for the levies and, of course, assessment and courthouse construction. And the plan is that at that meeting, we will have another group that is going to give a presentation. It's called ESS, Emergency Services Solution. They just bring in labor to help. I've heard good things and bad things about that, but let's let them do a presentation. I've had conversations with the Nottoway County Emergency Squad leaders. I'm hoping that they may be able to come to the meeting and mention possibly that we could have some of our members on their board. And somebody had mentioned, what's the plan? The plan, the strategic plan is we're not doing no 3-year, 4-year, because we don't know. We're going to do a 6 months and a year to try to get this thing turned around, okay? Or 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Who knows? At that meeting, I will present you some numbers, and as with a balanced budget, and I'm going to ask you to possibly let us have a public hearing May 22nd, and then with the possibility of adopting the budget May 29th. I want the public to, when they look at it, I don't want the emergency services to get blamed for anything, but when you first look at that balanced budget, it looks like it has increased $6 million, over $6 million. That is not Nottoway Emergency Services problem. That's not them. That's nothing to do with the fire. That is the school. They had a $6 million grant, and it's no match. They're having and I think I'm hoping they get that grant. They can replace a roof of the building that's much needed and some windows. So I'm asking the public, when you see that budget, look at the line items. Don't say, hey, this is where the $6 million is coming, because that's no truth. The reason why I want to adopt the budget May 29th, I'm going to ask y'all in the regular May meeting to move the third Thursday is Juneteenth. That's a holiday, and I'm going to ask y'all to go to the last week of June to have a meeting. I think we need to. I know we need to honor that holiday, and so I do not want to take the chance of adopting the budget the last week in June. And if we do not do that, we will not meet the Code of Virginia. So that is the timeline that I'm giving you tonight. And if somebody says, well, can I see some of the numbers now? I'm hoping the Finance Committee, I think was hoping to get it finished by Tuesday so we can present it Thursday. But we're getting close, very close. Okay?
Very good.
Okay.
Any members have any comments?
Yes, sir.
Anybody?
I'd like to say to all agencies out there, we're working hard. I and my family have had to use these services several times, and I appreciate what everybody does. I can't say enough about the volunteers, the services, and I've ridden the helicopter. I've been carried by the squad. I've had fires at my home, my house. People, when you talk about volunteers, I had 5 fire departments at my house, 1 o'clock in the morning, fighting that fire till 3 o'clock in the morning. And I looked around and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But people need to understand, my #1 concern for this county is the safety and welfare of its citizens. And fire and EMS are the #1 priority to be safe and have good welfare. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to come up with a plan to provide that for everybody. So when you pick up that phone
and call 911, somebody's coming. It's gonna be an equipped squad or a fire department that knows what they're doing, and that's what we have to have. And, you know, we've been going too long, just passing the buck, passing the buck, passing the buck. The buck has stopped. I guess it's stopped with us.
That's right.
And we're gonna try to fix it as much as we can. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it. Everybody that volunteers and comes and helps people, because that's what it is, it's helping people.
Ms. Norton?
I can say that I'm a little disappointed in the lack of turnout tonight because my phone blew up this week and last week. And I'm a little disappointed in the lack of in-depth discussion. But at the end of the day, the Code of Virginia dictates what we have to do as far as emergency services. We have to provide 911. It's not going to be easy. And I want to clarify, Abby, this isn't just real estate. It's going to be a tax levy on real estate and personal property, both. That incorporates every person that has a vehicle. But we don't have a revenue stream. Mr. Ingram and Mr. Bowen and I have been on that committee with Ms. Rayford and Ms. Hudson. We have beat our brains out trying to figure out where this money is coming from. We don't have revenue from business and industry. And I am dumbfounded at the amount of people that thought the prison paid taxes. None of the state agencies pay taxes, none of them. And I'm gonna put Mr. Hyde on the spot because he's been in the middle being the mediator between everybody. And that's what he was hired to do. And we have worried him to death for information. But one thing stands out. We talk about you've got to go. The squad has got to go. And since we recently backed up, Nottoway Emergency had to go back to one squad because of funding. Mr. Hyde, how much are we using our mutual aid from other counties? And what has your response been from those counties?
Quite a bit of phone calls and emails from all the neighbors.
They're all questioning, and they're glad to help us. But when they're not in their area, then their people aren't being served. So we've got to fix it because we're all partners in this. And in that line, Mr. Bowen and myself and Mr. Collins met Monday in a regional conference with other counties like ourselves, and that was the #1 topic of discussion, was funding for EMS. When you've got a $2.3 to $3 million amount coming at you to fund personnel that you have to have, yes, we're scrambling. And the last meeting, I challenged people to come to this podium to tell us where we're going to get it from. And it can't be solar, because solar's 5 years from now. We need it tomorrow. So I keep saying be patient. I know you're angry. I'm angry. I wish I'd have seen this survey I got today. It lays out the whole plan, and we're going to have to do it. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to hurt. But what's going to hurt is if I call 911 and my husband, who has a heart condition, dies right in front of me because the squad's not coming. If my granddaughter, who has seizures, dies in front of me because the squad didn't come because we couldn't pay the bills. That's the reality of it. It's not about everybody's fire trucks and everybody's equipment and everybody, all these people in this room. You are dedicated, 150% dedicated people. But the day has changed. The time has come. They've been warning us. And now rubber meets the road, just like Mr. Ingram said. Thank you.
Mr. Rourke.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight, that came to come out, and they came out. Thank y'all for coming out and speaking. And Ms. Norton, to your question there, I wonder where everybody is. Oh, you'll hear from them come October. And wondering why, even though we've had all these meetings here. That's just typically the way it works. I'll tell y'all something that we would not even address yet when we're talking about the state what they require us to do. When you start pushing back on the state, I tell you, probably Dion, David, Brian, John, and all of them will probably agree with this. I guarantee you it won't be long before the state requires every ambulance to be ALS. While we're doing this, we ought to be moving towards ALS in every unit and only ALS, no more of this BLS. We can finally get ahead of the curve while we're doing this. And, I mean, you're going to get the best out of the best hiring pool when you do that anyway. You know, you're going to get the most qualified, the ones with the proper certification. Also, and I know I recently brought a couple of things to y'all, and we'll discuss that later on about some possible options to grow our volunteer base. It's a small option, but it could be money savings, and it could be a huge uptick in volunteerism. I mean, if they don't go this way, you've got no other way. So we'll keep fighting, and I'm still educating myself. I'm a little bit behind the eight ball, not because I chose to be, but I'm still fighting along here, and we'll have some more discussions. And I do have some thoughts, and I don't want to throw a monkey wrench in it, but you know, there's more discussions we can have, and I'll be glad to continue moving forward in my recovery here and get with you guys and you as well, Ms. Norton. I don't like to say guys because I feel like I'm leaving the lady out, but I do mean you when I say that as well, because you're one of us, and I just want to extend that appropriately to you as well. So we got some new channels we can look at. We got a few new things we can look at. Dion was talking about the like a first patient style ER. Hold on. That's all I can tell you. Hold on, brother. Hold on. Something's ticking. That's all I'll say.
All right, we sound good, John. Thank you. Mr. Toth, anything?
I'm gonna stay within my told myself. I said, self, I'm not gonna say much. So, listening to the young lady talk about the optional answering a 911 call and it only being one, and I was aware of this as of about 3.5 weeks ago, one staffed ambulance in the whole county of Nottoway. That's unacceptable, very much so. That's not enough. But I can't help but to leave out Brian's department in Burkeville. You know, we keep saying there's one staffed ambulance when really they're 24 hours. Is that right, Chief? They're 24 hours and they're within our county too. Correct. And I knew what she was speaking of specifically. It was one staffed EMS Nottoway.
From Nottoway Emergency Squad.
Right, not including Burkeville. But that still isn't acceptable. A tragic wreck could require 3 or 4. Burkeville, what we have, another one in the surrounding area. We've got to figure out a way to get through this and get it funded and manage it. 3 is what we really need. I see Buddy putting up 3, I agree. It wasn't so long ago, I remember there was 3. And that's declined, and they cannot blame it on volunteers because they're 95% paid. They can blame it on not having enough money to fund the EMS workers. And I'm with John on it. We need more ALS, all ALS really. That's what we need. That should be our goal. And I know the struggles that the Nottoway EMS is facing, but we got to have another ambulance. And me speaking personally toward this tax levy, and we're not going to go into any figures, but if there is a levy that's being proposed forced on the citizens, that it goes specifically to staff another ambulance with ALS members on there. And that's the only thing that I will vote for that money can be used for. It will not be a lump sum check payment issued to Nottoway EMS per Toth vote. That's all I got to say.
I'd like to say thank you to everybody who came tonight. Thank you to everybody that's attended meetings that we've had, that we've kind of just set up, make a few phone calls and say, hey, can everybody get together? And we did. I've learned a lot the last couple of weeks as somebody that's not been involved with emergency squads. So thank everybody for participating. We'll have numbers and ideas. We're trying to have at least 3 ideas at the work session, and we'll try to pick the best ones for the citizens. Always remember that you get what you pay for, so we want to make sure we're not just looking at price. We want to make sure we're getting the right right set up to get the citizens protected. So again, thank you for everybody that came tonight. John, you want to make a motion?
Yes, sir. I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, stand up.
Thank you, John.
All right.
All right, Don, thank you. Yep. Hey, Abby,